Okay, today we're going to do in our Tanakh Yomi, we're going to do Prakim Yud Tet and Shoftim and Chaf. I hope we can finish it. Chaf is quite long. Okay. We saw yesterday the beginning of this, the whole issue with Micha. And today we see a very, very sad, one of the saddest and most tragic stories in Jewish history, I think. And that is the whole issue, the whole story of Pilegish Begiva. Okay? So we have this Levi, again, a Levi, it involves a Levi. This Levi took as not exactly as a wife, as a Pilegesh. A Pilegesh is a woman that you have like a wife. You just don't, it's not with Kiddushin and a Ketuva. You take her as your wife, but it's not the same responsibilities as a regular wife. Anyway, he took this Pilegesh, and she rebelled against him. Exactly what she did is not clear. It says, Vatizne alav. Not sure that she actually did Znut, but she rebelled against him. And she went back to her father's home in Beit Lechem, Yehuda. The man goes and follows her, tries to, win her back. And he goes to his father-in-law's home. His father-in-law is very happy to see him. And they talk and, they work everything out. And then they stay for 3 days and they have meals and rejoice. And over and over again, the Levi says, okay, now send us off and we're ready to go back. And he says, no, stay one more day and stay one more day. And he keeps on pushing it off until finally the Levi gets so, frustrated. He says, that's it, I am leaving now. Even though it was later in the day and, it's probably not the smartest thing to leave, at this hour, but he left anyway. So he's starting to, he's on his way, him and his Pilegesh and his Nar, he had an attendant with him, and they're near Yerushalayim, Yevus, and his Nar says, let's go and lodge here for the night. And the Levi says, no, I don't want to stay in a non-Jewish place, I want to go to a Jewish city. So they walk a little bit more until they go to a place called Giv'ah, which is one of the cities of Binyamin. And there they go to the middle of the main square, let's call it, and nobody asks them to come in. No one offers them a place to stay. One elder who was not from Binyamin. He was sort of like a guest there. He was not, he lived there, but he was not one of the Binyaminites. He Be'emet asks him, where are you from, everything, and then the Levi tells him, we have everything with us, we have enough food, all we need is a place to stay, and the elder says, of course, come in, and he invites him into his house. And they go into the house, and they eat, and when in the middle of their meal, it says in Pasuk Chav Bet, Anshei B'nei V'lial Nasavu et Habayit. Mamash, this is so similar to the story in Bereshit with Sodom, with the Sodomites, what they did. These Anshei B'nei Belial. What does B'nei Belial mean? So Chazal understand Belial means Beli Ol. They were without Ol Malchut Shamayim, without the yoke of heaven, meaning they were just people who had no morals, no ethics, they didn't care about anything, and they come and they surround the house and they knock on the door and they say to the owner of the house, the older man, they say, we want that man, bring him out so we can have some fun with him. They wanted to commit homosexual rape. And he says to them, no, don't do such a terrible nivala, despicable thing. He says, listen, I have a daughter who's a betula, who's a virgin, and this man, the guest, he has a pilegesh, I'll give you them, but don't do this terrible thing to commit sodomy, basically.
Why is one better than the other?
It's not better to go, to rape a girl either, but it's I don't mean it's not better. It's not a good thing to do that either, obviously. But it is certainly worse to, at least that's natural for a man to be with a woman, right? For a man to be with another man is unnatural and is considered a toivan, a despicable, abominable thing according to the Torah. I'm not saying that necessarily this is a king was correct to offer his daughter. Maybe that was incorrect also, but it certainly was terrible what they were asking to do. So they refuse. The people of Giv'ah, these Binyaminites, these lowly people, they don't agree to this, and they still are pressuring him to give the guy himself. So what he does is the man, the Levi, right? He forces his way out and basically forces his Pilegesh outside, pushes her out the door, and basically says, do with her what you want, just leave us alone. And they do terrible things to her all night long. And in the morning, almost dead, she makes her way home, lies on the front door, and the Levi takes his stuff to leave, and he sees his Pilegesh, his concubine, lying there, doesn't yet know that she's dead, and she says, come, let's just go home. And he realizes that she's dead, takes her on his donkey and goes home. When he gets home, he takes a knife and he chops her up, he dissects her, dismembers her into 12 pieces, and he sends one piece of her body to all the different tribes of Israel, 12 altogether. And whoever said, obviously with a note and explaining what happened, and whoever saw it from the tribes of Israel were saying, we've never seen such a terrible thing in our lives, ever since the day we got out of Egypt until today. Therefore, we have to get together and figure out what to do about this situation. And that ends Perek Yutet. And we go straight into Perek Chaf, which is the continuation of the story. So the Bnei Yisrael, the rest of the tribes, gather together at Mitzpah. Now, what is Mitzpah exactly? And it says they gather together El Hashem HaMitzpah. What does it mean, El Hashem? There's no Beis HaMikdash, there's no Mishkan in Mitzpah. So, the Radak, I think it is, okay, whatever, the Mefarshim bring two explanations. Why is it called El Hashem? They go to Hashem. So this was, according to some, the place where either all or most of Israel used to gather, and therefore the Shekhinah rests there. Wherever Bnei Yisrael, wherever the majority of the Jewish people are, that's where the Shekhinah, the divine presence, rests. That's what it means, El Hashem. Others explain, the Radak, he says that it's clear in Sefer Yehoshua that in Mitzpah there was a Mizbeach and a Beit Tfilah. There was like a big synagogue, so to say, there. There was a Mizbeach, an altar that was built there back in Sefer Yehoshua, and that's why it's called El Hashem. Anyway, they gather there 400,000 soldiers, Jewish soldiers. The people of Binyamin, not just of Giv'ah, of all Bnei Binyamin throughout the country, right? They hear that Bnei Yisrael, the rest of the tribes, are gathering together to fight against them. And they also heard that the husband of the Pilegesh, this Levi, told the whole story of how his wife was raped and how he cut her up, and how Bnei Yisrael have decided to take action and do something against them, and therefore, what do? They get ready for battle also, right? Okay, 1 second. You had a question before we go?
Yeah, I mean, he mainly leaves out the fact that he pushed his wife outside. He tells the Shoftim.
Does he tell that? Yeah, but he was forced to do that. I mean, again, whether that was a good thing to do, whether he should have been giving up his life also, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was still a despicable, terrible thing they did. maybe he made the wrong decision, maybe yes, maybe no, but they for sure were the ones in the wrong here. So the Jewish people decide, the Bnei Yisrael, the majority, they decide that a tenth of the soldiers are going to basically be on the sides. They're going to be providing the food and the supplies, and the rest are going to go out to battle. And the Bnei Yisrael demand of Binyamin, before the battle, they demand of Binyamin simply to give over those people who did this terrible sin. If they give them over, we'll kill them, and that's it, finished. Then you understand that, okay, they did a terrible thing, they were killed, and it'll be the end of the story. However, and here's where the problem is, the Bnei Binyamin refused to do this. And once you refuse to give over such evil people, that basically you are condoning what they did. And that's the problem. So the battle basically starts. And the Bnei Binyamin, we said that the Bnei Yisrael had 400,000 people. Bnei Binyamin had 26,000 people, plus 700 from Givah. So almost 27,000 versus 400,000. So what happens? What happens? So Bnei Yisrael go to Beit El, which is, by the way, I think the Mefarshim explained that it was Shiloh, that's why I called Beit El, the house of God. And they ask Hashem, before they go out, they ask Hashem, meaning they ask through the Urim V'Tumim, through the Kohen Gadol, should we go out to battle? Or who should go out to battle first? And Hashem answers, Yehudah should go first. So Bnei Yisrael attack Giv'ah, and in the first stage of the battle, the Bnei Binyamin wipe them out. They kill, unbelievably, 22,000 soldiers from Am Yisrael. These 26,700 killed 22,000 of the soldiers of Israel. And Bnei Yisrael, of course, are terribly distraught, and they prepare for another battle, but they cry out to Hashem and ask, should they continue going? Should they continue fighting? Maybe that was a sign that Hashem doesn't want them to go out to battle. And Hashem says, yes, I want you to continue battling. And then there's a second battle. And in this battle as well, Bnei Binyamin are victorious, and they kill another 18,000 Jewish soldiers. Now, the Mefarshim explain, you would think, it's clear who's in the right and who's in the wrong here. Why is Hashem making the Jews, the majority, lose these battles? Why were 40,000 Jewish soldiers killed? So the Mefarshim explain that it was because, if you remember, with the whole thing with Bnei Dan, in the last chapter, Bnei Dan basically took the pesel of Micha and erected a whole house of worship to this pesel. And why there didn't Am Yisrael get up and say, we have to fight against Bnei Dan for this terrible thing that they're doing Avodah Zarah? In other words, L'kavod Hashem, for God's honor, they didn't make a peep. They didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. It didn't bother them. All of a sudden here, when this woman is raped, this all of a sudden bothers them. So Hashem, the first two battles, let them lose to teach them, to show them that He wasn't 100% thrilled with the way they were acting up until now. But now, Bnei Yisrael go again to Beit El, which again is Shiloh, and they cry and they fast and they bring korbanot and they ask Hashem if they should go out to battle again. And this time Hashem says, yes, and you will now win. And this time Bnei Yisrael are a little bit smarter. They don't just go head on and battle them, but rather they set up ambushes and they attack. And like the other times, the Bnei Binyamin come out to fight against them and to counter their attack. And they even are successful in killing 30 Jewish soldiers. And so the Bnei Yisrael, they run away as if, like the first two times, they're scared and they're running away. But this time, it was all part of the plan. It was to draw the Bnei Binyamin out of Giv'ah, and to then, the people who were waiting in the ambush entered the city and put it on fire, and they kill 25,100 of the Bnei Binyamin. That's almost all of them. Don't forget, it was 26,700. And then the Tanakh goes through all the details of the war again, and how they burnt the city, and when the Bnei Binyamin turn around and they see the smoke coming to the heavens, so they're all flustered. And the Bnei Israel turn around, the ones who had feigned running away, now are turning around and becoming the chasers, the pursuers. And then it goes and it tells out through details how many Bnei Binyamin were killed. And all told, as we said, it was 25,100. There's a stira here in the Psukim, it doesn't matter. And then finally, at the end of the Perek, it tells us that 600 Bnei Binyamin run to a certain sela, a certain boulder, a rock in Rimon, a place called Rimon, and they stay there for 4 months. What does that mean? They set up tents there? I don't know exactly. But they set up shop there, and Bnei Yisrael destroy the rest of the Arei Binyamin. All the cities of Binyamin are destroyed. Everyone in it is killed. All of the possessions are burnt in fire. The whole cities are burnt down. Basically, there are 600 Binyaminites left in the world. They are on this rock in Rimon, and next chapter we'll see what happens and how the Shevet of Binyamin is finally saved, because this could have meant the end of a whole tribe in Israel.